So in this video, I wanted to talk to you about 6 keys that I've identified to help you get off to a great start with your first chapter that'll hopefully propel you on to bigger and better things in your novel. Key number 1 is developing a great opening paragraph. It cannot be overstated enough. If you do not hook them in that first paragraph, chances are you're going to lose them for the rest of the chapter. If you lose them for the rest of the chapter, you're probably going to lose them for the rest of the book. So think about ways that you can grab your reader right off the bat, put that hook in them right away, and then hopefully you'll keep them on that hook until they can reach at least the end of the first few pages. And chances are, if you can keep them on the hook that long, they'll finish the first chapter. They finish the first chapter, they're curious about how things are going to play out. They start to identify with the characters. They love the characters or hate the characters, but they have enough meat on the table that hopefully they will persevere through to the end. Key number 2 is compelling characters. You really want to make sure that you properly develop your characters. And some of this is going to come with research. Some of this is going to come with making sure that your characters are not flat, they're not dull, they're not people that are uninteresting. They're people that either your readers are going to be able to identify, or as I said earlier, they're going to be able to love them or they're going to hate them. And at times, it could be both for your characters. And so make sure that you draw compelling characters that are very interesting, characters that have depth, characters that will find some way to be hooked into your readers. If you can hook the reader with your characters, you combine that with a great first paragraph to get your first chapter going, and you've got the recipe, you've got the beginning pieces of the recipe for a great novel. Number 3 is to make sure that you have a strong voice in your writing. You want to be as authoritative as possible. You don't want to be wishy-washy, and you don't want to put too much filler in right away. Now, a lot of people will tell you when you start writing right through to the end, you can always come back and edit. But once you get into a rhythm as far as your writing, you want to keep that rhythm going as long as possible. Keep the momentum going as long as possible. And then when you hit that break, hopefully you will have gotten that energy that helps you to push through and to give you a more natural stopping point so that you can regroup, get yourself back together, and then push through to the end. But part of that is going to be having a strong voice and maintaining that strong voice. If you need a break from writing, take a break, but don't let your voice weaken because you're fatigued or because your mind just needs a mental break. So make sure that you pace yourself so you can ensure that you're going to have that strong voice that's going to endure from start to finish. One of the things that you want to do, and it's a famously held quote, is that you want to start as close to the end as possible. And so when you think about where you're going to start in the beginning, make sure that you start at a point that's going to hook the reader, but is also going to be able to compact the story as tightly as you can while still being able to tell a quality story, but also put your readers as close to the end as possible so they feel like they're making progress along the way. And that good, strong starting point and giving them the momentum right off the bat to help them feel like, hey, I really want to see how this ends. That's going to be very important to you. So remember, start as close to the end as possible. Your readers will thank you for it, and you probably will enjoy your writing that much more. Number 5, have an authentic setting that's going to be something that will resonate with your readers. You want to find a place that's going to evoke emotion. And whether that emotion is a warm feeling of comfort and ease that your reader will feel with a place that maybe is familiar in a good way, or it could evoke some other type of emotion, maybe an emotion that's fear, maybe it's an emotion of intrigue, something that's going to really spark something inside your reader that's going to make them even more curious to understand the characters, how the characters are going to work their way through this scene, how the characters are going to work their way through, which is going to be our next topic, the conflict that's going to be inevitable or that should be inevitable to you. And finally, a burgeoning conflict. You want to start to set the scene for what the conflict is going to be. This is going to help your readers understand a little bit more about your character, where your character is, the strengths and weaknesses of your character, and what's the ultimate conflict. that this character is going to have to face, that this character is going to have to overcome over the course of your novel, that's going to help them become, hopefully, a better person by the end, or help them to at least confront their demons, to be a character that will have developed sufficiently enough by the end of the story that you'll say, wow, that character really made some strides one way or the other. That character grew one way or another toward the end of the story, that is in stark contrast to maybe where they started at the beginning of your story. So don't forget to start to tease and introduce that conflict early in your first chapter. It's going to be very important, because that's part of the hook that you're going to put in your reader, that's going to keep them into the story through the second, third, fourth chapters, through your first act, your second, third act. That's going to help them to stick with it from start to finish.